welcome viewers. I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. Charlie Kirk's widow Erica has spoken for the first time after his death, promising that his legacy will never die as she mourns with their two young children. She has declared that her cries will echo like a battle cry while the suspect, Tyler Robinson, remains in custody after a 33-hour manhunt. The General Assembly has overwhelmingly voted for a declaration calling for tangible and time-bound steps towards an Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution. The UN text follows a July conference hosted by Saudi Arabia and France, with the United States and Israel now boycotting the process. Qatar's Prime Minister has held talks with US President Donald Trump in New York following Israel's strike on Doha that killed 5 Hamas members and a Qatari official as well. Sheikh Mohammed Al Thani has launched a diplomatic push in the US after the attack targeting the meeting took place post Trump's proposed Gaza ceasefire deal. Nepalese President Ramchandra Paul has called for fresh polls after deadly protests forced former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign and pave the way for Nepal's first female leader. Former Chief Justice Sushila Karki has been appointed as interim Prime Minister as Gen Z anti-graft demonstrations have shaken up Nepal's political order. Tommy Robinson uses Charlie Kirk's killing to galvanize support ahead of Britain's biggest far-right rally in decades, featuring speakers from Europe and the US. Steve Bannon is listed to appear alongside other far-right figures, while questions remain over whether Jordan Peterson will attend or not. Auckland has seen its biggest pro-Palestinian march since the war began, with organisers now claiming 50,000 attendees. Police, meanwhile, have put the crowd closer to 20,000 as demonstrators flooded central Auckland for the March for Humanity. Yemen's Houthis say that they fired a ballistic missile with a cluster warhead at sensitive targets in Tel Aviv overnight. Israeli defense officials report that the missile was intercepted, while the IDF has not confirmed details about the warhead. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck off Russia's far east coast, shaking the Kamchatka region. However, no tsunami threat has been reported as of now. Scientists, meanwhile, report differing readings, with the US survey measuring that the earthquake struck 39 kilometers deep and German experts putting it at a mere 10 kilometers of depth. Well, viewers, those were the headlines and our top focus, what's happening in the United States of America as far as the probe into Charlie Kirk's death is concerned. Now, after a 33-hour manhunt, US authorities have arrested 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who's now charged with the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kirk, remember, was shot and killed on Tuesday while speaking at Utah Valley University. Now, investigators say that Robinson fired a single round from a rooftop, striking Kirk on stage. He was tracked down after a family friend alerted authorities. Meanwhile, FBI Director Kash Patel has confirmed the arrest, and Utah Governor Spencer Cork has stated that Robinson's family and a friend played a key role in turning him in, adding that investigators believed he acted alone. Meanwhile, authorities say that Robinson used Discord messages to plan the attack, stashed a rifle in bushes wrapped in a towel, and left behind bullet casings engraved with political slogans. Now, according to Cox, the killing has reignited debate over the rise of political violence in the United States of America. Meanwhile, Erica Kirk, who's the wife of Charlie Kirk, she thanked US President Donald Trump and his family for their support, stating that her husband loved Trump. For those who knew him, the arrest has come as a shock. Jada Funk, a former classmate of Robinson, remembers him as a quiet but respected student admired by teachers and friends alike, making this, as she claims, completely unexpected. Listen in to what Tyler's classmate had to say.
So Tyler was always kind of quieter since we were little, but not like quiet weird. He since like kindergarten was always confident to talk to teachers and stuff, and he had kind of an inner circle that loved him, and he always was able to speak to them, and always just his energy speaking to his friends and the way he treated people overall. I don't know, I think this is really unexpected. I didn't see it coming at all. He, since I met him growing up, was always a kind, respectable, genuine kid, the kind of student that teachers liked, and all this, I feel like, not just to me, but everyone else, has come really unexpected. He was always just like the type A student, the one that got stuff done on time, the one that always did his homework, admired by like adults and always respected adults and peers and friends, authority figures, and everything like that.
All right, there, of course, we've heard what Tyler's classmate had to say. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast is Major General Sudhakar G, Senior Geopolitical and Defense Expert. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. A lot that we've heard over the last couple of days from across the political spectrum within the United States of America is leaders from across party lines coming out and calling this an attack on freedom of speech. They've also stated that political violence is not the solution. But all in all, we've also seen a section of people speak about gun violence at large and the fact that such killings are rather routine within the United States. So could this be a wake-up call for the Trump administration to ban assault rifles, or do you see that still not taking place?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for getting me to your show. Absolutely. Your question is very relevant and very pertinent. And I have been in a number of channels saying the same thing. It's about time. They have had too many wake-up calls which have been ignored by the Americans. Now it's about time that they take cognizance of the issue. Like when a patient goes to a doctor always has an option to diagnose the patient as per the disease or as per the symptom. America so far has been finding solutions or giving medicine or remedy to the symptom, not to the disease. Disease, in my opinion, is that they have to take a holistic view, look back in time, because when America came into existence, let's say 1776, the situation then was not same as in 21st century. Things have changed. They have to look at the new realistic challenges, and you cannot have, unfortunately, it's a way of life, it's their culture. It has gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has upheld the Second Amendment. Many presidents have tried to actually abrogate it or modify the thing. They haven't. I think it's about time. Donald Trump will do good if he looks into it in a very dispassionate manner, tries to look at the root cause and address the issue. Only then this long-lasting in 2025 alone, I am given to understand, I think your Tinker, one of the channels was showing almost to the tune of 2,200 such firing incidents have taken place at different places, and almost close to 19,000 casualties or more. Many of them are fatal and many of them are wounded. So therefore, I think it's enough is enough. They have had more casualties in the homeland security because of gun culture than the body bags coming back from the conflict zones of Iraq or Afghanistan or elsewhere in the world. Back to you, Pia.
Indeed, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us on NewsX World as we continue to track these tragic developments from the United States of America. With that, viewers, we're shifting our focus towards the Indo-Pacific. We're now learning that the United States has reaffirmed its support for the Philippines amid rising tensions in the South China Sea. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has condemned China's plan to designate the disputed Scarborough Shoal as a nature preserve, calling it a coercive attempt to advance Beijing's expansive territorial claims. Now, Scarborough Shoal lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone but has been under Chinese control since 2012. Filipino fishermen fear that the nature reserve designation could further restrict their access to traditional fishing grounds, with Chinese vessels now closely monitored. Rubio has urged China to respect the 2016 ruling by the arbitration tribunal, which found that Beijing had unlawfully prevented Filipino fishermen from operating in the area. He's criticized China's actions as undermining regional stability and sovereignty. Now, in a show of solidarity, the Philippines recently conducted joint naval patrols in the South China Sea with the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command and Japanese Navy near Zambales province, which is close to Scarborough Shoal. Meanwhile, Chinese state media has claimed that Manila had held joint patrols with unnamed non-regional countries. That's what China had to say with regards to these drills. Earlier with us on the broadcast is Dr. Satoru Nagao, fellow at the Hudson Institute, joining us from Tokyo. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. Of course, Scarborough Shoal has been a point of contention. There was a ruling by the Court of Arbitration. As per the UN clause, it was found that China had violated the United Nations law of the sea. That's not all. China still continues its activities and its military build-up in the region. We all know about Spratly Islands as well, Mischief Reef, where they're now building artificial islands as well as military bases, airstrips. The United States once again reaffirming its support for Philippines in the South China Sea. But what, in your assessment, needs to be done to ensure that it's not just statements that are put out, but concrete action against this aggressive posture that China is now, in fact, adopting should be taken?
Yes, the concrete action is moving in this region indeed, because firstly, the Scarborough Shoal is a very important place. If the China builds artificial island in the three places, Paracel Island, Scarborough Shoal, and Spratly Island, they can make the triangle. And from these bases, they can deploy the fighter jet, the bomb. So this is very important, because if they deploy the fighter jet, missiles, this weapon from the artificial island, the triangle connected through these three places create a sacred place for the Chinese submarine. Chinese submarine can hide in the triangle by the protection of the fighter jet or patrol plane or naval ship from this artificial island. In this case, this submarine hiding in this region can equip the submarine-launched ballistic missile, especially the recent published JL-3 can reach the Washington DC from the South China Sea. So that's why by protecting the artificial island, the missiles, the fighter jet from the artificial island, this submarine can attack the Washington DC anytime. So that's why if the China want to get full South China Sea, China want to build this triangle. But currently, China's artificial island is located in the Paracel Island, and Spratly Island, but not Scarborough Shoal. So China really want to build the artificial island, Scarborough Shoal. That's why the conflict, something skirmishes, not kill someone, but have happened between Philippines and China and the US and China. And if the China gets the South China Sea, China builds the Scarborough Shoal and gets the South China Sea, it will relate it with the Taiwan crisis situation, because from South, Taiwan will be vulnerable. So that's why recently United States tried to deploy the missile in the Philippines, long-range missile, short-range missile, both are latest one deployed, and the US has already published a plan to build the factory to produce ammunition in Philippines. This will be the first ammunition factory in the Indo-Pacific region of the US and Philippines. So that's why the Philippines is fortifying now to protect the South China Sea, to protect Taiwan. So in the key of the US strategy in this region. So that's why this is very important, and really military move, military deployment or military fortification has really happened for both US side and China side.
So a quick follow-up to that, we'd recently seen heightened PLA Navy activity, especially in Philippines' exclusive economic zone. We'd seen recent a collision take place between two PLA Navy vessels as they were pursuing a Philippine Coast Guard vessel as well. But what's interesting is the language that Beijing has adopted. They have in fact designated Scarborough Shoal as a nature reserve. Is this an attempt by China to skirt around international law?
China's remark is hiding real intention is purpose. So because when China built the artificial island, that time China said, this is not the military purpose. But after that, China built a runway on the island and deploy missiles, fighter jet, that has happened. This means that when China says something, this is not trustworthy remark. Just hiding the real intention and say something, it looks like very familiar or friendly to the other country, but that's not the real intention. Real intention is proved by real act. And act is, this is move of the military. So that's why this is serious. In this case, not only the Philippines, Japan, or United States, but also India also realized India's naval ship, the patrol and hold joint exercise with Philippines, and India export BrahMos missile to Philippines. Why? Because Philippines realized how serious this is. When the Prime Minister Modi visits Japan, there is a sentence in the joint statement. They are concerned about situation in the South China Sea and East China Sea, clearly written. In Philippines, this is same. So that's why this is age of maritime rivalry and maritime expansion of China, and with India, the other country try to stop it. That is really happening in this region.
All right, Dr. Nagawa, I request you to stay on with us as we are tracking further updates. We're shifting focus towards Myanmar, where we're now learning that an ethnic minority armed group has called the Arakan Army. It has stated that 19 high school children have been killed by an army airstrike on two private schools in Rakhine province. Now, the group has posted the statement on Telegram informing that 19 students between the ages 15 and 21 have been killed and that 22 other students have been injured. The group has blamed the junta for the strike. Now, local media has reported that a military junta warplane dropped two 500-pound bombs on the high schools. Listen in to what an aid worker's description of the site of the airstrike is, even as the Arakan Army has made these claims. The Arakan Army has been in conflict with the military junta for control over the Rakhine province. Now, the armed group has also taken over large portions of the region in the past year. The military had meanwhile sparked a civil war by snatching power in 2022 via a coup and jailing popular democratic leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Meanwhile, the military has regularly been accused of using air and artillery strikes to hit civilian communities. The Arakan Army has now promised fresh polls that are in fact scheduled to start on 28th December. Shifting focus to more updates coming in now. In response to Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace, NATO has launched an operation named Eastern Sentry to bolster the defense of Europe's eastern flank. NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte has warned Russia to stop violating airspace and targeting civilian infrastructure. He has stated that the Eastern Sentry is designed to enhance the group's capability to defend its territory. The NATO Secretary General has even added that they are still assessing Russia's possible intent behind the drone incursions in Poland. This comes after Poland had accused Russia of intentionally using drones to intimidate countries on the EU's eastern flank. Listen in to what Margaret had to say.
And today, General Kinkowicz and I are here to announce that NATO is launching Eastern Sentry to bolster our posture even further along our eastern flank. This military activity will commence in the coming days and will involve a range of assets from allies including Denmark, France, United Kingdom, Germany and others. In addition to more traditional military capabilities, this effort will also feature elements designed to address the particular challenges associated with the use of drones.
Still with us on the broadcast is Dr. Satoru Nagao. Thank you so much, sir, for your patience. Interesting response coming in from the NATO countries. Of course, they are concerned about the eastern flank because the war in Ukraine does not show any signs of abating. We've recently seen as Poland claims incursions into its airspace via Russian drones. Now, of course, they've warned Russia to stop violating airspace and targeting civilian infrastructure. Ukraine, of course, has been claiming that the attacks have in fact heightened after the Alaska summit between Putin and Donald Trump. Where do you think this will be headed next? We do know that European nations are discussing the security guarantees for Ukraine. Do you think they will also be sending troops on the ground?
Yes, this incident is a very important message for NATO because 19 Russian drones enters Poland is not just an accident. And so this is a provocation. And view from the military balance, if the Russians send a certain number of the missile or drone to the other countries in the Ukraine side, of course, NATO focusing on the incursions, the Russian drone, their country. That's why automatically they cannot support Ukraine by using same asset. So that's why this is a provocation, and Russia, there's possibility Russia will continue. So that's why the NATO side, again, to deal with the provocation, NATO side must show very strong stance. But when the 90 Russian drones flew over the Poland, only 4 or some more are destroyed by NATO forces. So other drones did not intercept it by the NATO side. So this military capability situation is not a good message toward Russia as a strong message. So that's why now the NATO must show strong defense capability in the borderline. That's why this is a response.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sitting with us on NewsX World, presenting your perspective on these crucial developments. With that, viewers, we're shifting our focus towards South Asia, particularly Nepal. We're now learning that Nepal's former Supreme Court Chief Justice Sushila Kirk has become the country's interim Prime Minister after deadly anti-corruption protests ousted the government. Kirk, who is 73 years old, was sworn in during a brief ceremony, becoming the first woman to lead the nation after a deal was reached with the protesting leaders. Meanwhile, Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel dissolved the parliament, and his office announced that fresh elections will take place before the 5th of March in 2026. Now, Kirk taking charge follows violent anti-corruption protests that led former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's resignation on the 9th of September. Meanwhile, people are also hopeful of Kirk, expecting her to start the dawn of a new era in Nepal and making Nepal a corruption-free state. Now, Nepalese police force is gradually resuming operations in Kathmandu Valley with police stations and posts that were vandalized during the protests earlier this week back in operation. With us on the broadcast is Major General Rajan Kochar, Senior Strategic and Defence Expert, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. what we've seen in Kathmandu and in other cities across Nepal over the last week were a series of high-octane developments that led to the resignation of former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, and now former Chief Justice of Nepal, Sushila Karki, has taken oath. She is now the interim Prime Minister. Where do you see the country headed to next? Because we do know that they faced rather turbulent times as far as their political arena is concerned. There was a brief period of stability in the 2010s. But now once again with these protests, we've seen how volatile the situation can be on the ground.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this discussion. Rather unfortunate as we see the things which went out of control in Nepal, and the Gen Z protests and the youth came onto the streets. A trend which is fast becoming common. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and we have seen this happening in the neighborhood. A very challenging time for the new Prime Minister, Karki. She is going to face a challenge. A challenge in terms of new measures for eliminating corruption, nepotism, and excessive restriction on the social media and things like this. So I think this challenge is going to immense, and especially she has approximately 6 months time. She will have a cabinet, and some names are being suggested right now. And also, I'm given to understand that some representatives of the Gen Z will also be part of a team. What important aspects she'll have to take care of is right now the law and order situation. And I'm glad the Nepal army is supporting her. General Ashok Raj Singhdale is a very, very fine professional. He is known into the army circles to be a very honest, straightforward person. Uh, Sushila Karki is also having a very strong reputation because as a Chief Justice of Nepal, she had locked horns with the political parties. She is known for honesty and a corrupt, free kind of reputation. So I think that is one of the reasons she has been acceptable. She has been found acceptable to most of the people who were protesting. And the mayor of Kathmandu himself uh, uh, has recommended her name. So I think she's going to have the support of all the people who wanted a change in Nepal. And Nepal has to undergo a transformation. And the areas which will be seen by her is first is the restoration of law and order. Stability has to be restored. A second aspect is it's very unfortunate to see that the people of your own country have destroyed the heritage of your own country. The parliament building, the judiciaries, and all these places which have been brought up over decades have been destroyed, and a lot of money will have to be spent to restore that. So I think this was the most unfortunate part of the agitation. And the larger picture as far as India is concerned, because it is very important to link India with Nepal because of the cultural and the social relations we have, the uh, commonality in ethnicity, and the most important aspect which he'll have to address, apart from corruption, is the unemployment in the country. And I think India can play a very, very important role. And I'm glad Prime Minister Modi's message to uh, Sushila has been a very encouraging one. And he has come forward and he has volunteered for any kind of support Nepal would need at this point in time in terms of economical, financial, or any other supports. So I think India will be like a pillar to Nepal right now, because Nepal needs India in the reconstruction of its process towards normalization. And I think that the important aspects will be addressed by Sushila, and she will take this entire people along with them, along with her. And the basic 3, 4 areas, I think, because she has got only 6 months to do it, there may be a certain reforms in the constitutional aspects also, which she may like to get into as far as the political or the electoral process is concerned, reducing the age of people standing for elections and trying to bring in greater accountability and responsibility along with these posts which are assigned to these people. So I think that would be one challenge, because constitution is something which will always find a lot of criticism, whatever you may do. The second aspect is the organizational structures, the checks and balances into the processes. The third is to ensure that Nepalis don't go outside searching for jobs. You'll be surprised to know that as per a WHO report, 2,000 Nepalis are going every day leaving the country. So she'll have to bring them actually back in the country, because youth is the backbone of the nation. And if you allow youth to migrate outside your country, you are actually losing out to the strength of your country. And in case Nepal has to develop, I think this would be the biggest challenge for the new Prime Minister.
Indeed, Major General Kochhar, I request you to stay on with us, because we're tracking another very crucial development from South Asia at the moment. We're now learning that at least 12 Pakistani soldiers have been killed and 4 are now critically injured in an ambush by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan in the northwestern province. Now, the attack took place around 4 in the morning when a convoy passing through Fakir Sarai in upper South Waziristan, and there was an armed men had opened fire from both sides with heavy weapons. Now, according to reports, the attackers seized the convoy's weapons, and the TTP has now claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, this incident comes just 2 days after Pakistani army claimed to have killed 19 TTP militants in 3 separate operations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In 2025 itself, the TTP has carried out a record number of attacks against the Pakistani army, and this is the latest. Major General Kochhar still with us on the broadcast, sir. 12 Pakistani soldiers have been killed, 4 are critically injured in an ambush by the TTP in Waziristan. This is not something new, it's been occurring. In fact, these attacks have only scaled up. Are the snakes that Pakistan has in fact nurtured, fostered in their own backyard, biting them back?
Undoubtedly, because as we have been observing and we have been monitoring this situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well as Balochistan, because Balochistan is also very active in terms of activities of the freedom fighters of the BLA, and the BLA and the TTP today have joined hands, and that is the intelligence reports which come from Pakistan. The Tehreek-e-Taliban has been extremely active, I would say, in North Waziristan. As you mentioned, the ambush has taken place. It clearly shows the domination of the TTP in certain areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and we have had statistical data from the Lahore Institute of Peace Studies, which says that almost 378 soldiers have lost their lives in these attacks in the last 1 year. So Pakistan is actually not able to control the situation either in Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And the Pakistan army is basically a conventional army. They have not been trained on guerrilla warfare. And these areas, if you look at the terrain in both Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it is basically a mountainous area where these people are operating. TTP operates or BLA operates, because they don't operate in urban areas. They operate in these tribal areas where they have the support of the local population also with them. So what we are seeing is there was a point of time, there was a demand for a Pakhtunistan. And this demand was originating not only from Pakistan, from the bordering areas of Afghanistan also. So in times to come, I think the Pakistan army has a real challenge on their hands, because a large number of casualties are taking place in the Pakistan army. And in any armed force, if you have casualties of this kind, it actually affects the morale of the force. So it spreads all over, and Pakistan army also does not tread to go into the interior areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So I think in the times to come, Pakistan is going to face a challenge, and especially as you rightly said, they have nurtured snakes in their own backyard, and now they are paying for it.
All right, Major General Kocher, with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us on NewsX World as we track these very delicate developments. So with that, viewers, it's a wrap on this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.